Hello fellow golfers. Today we're going to be talking about a backswing move to help your chipping. I think I see a lot of poor backswings in our chipping, and if the backswing's wrong, we're then always having to make up for something in the through swing, if that makes sense. So what I see a lot of in the backswing is the club head is always too far behind people, or you fellow golfers if you like, and it's also never high enough either. So the natural kind of instinct, I think, is always to work too far round behind you. Then we've got to use our body too much on the way through. And I think the natural thing is, if I do it from this angle, as you can see here, there's never quite enough hinge. So the club head shaft never gets really parallel to the ground, and certainly doesn't get high enough here. It's always then working round. So when people feel they're going to hit it further, they'll go around, and almost you can see instinctively I've then got to work from behind me too far around this way. One of the things I'd like to say, when with chipping more than say long game, we want a bit of inside draw, and almost I could argue putting a little bit, we want a little bit of inside draw. But with chipping, I would say we want almost the opposite. So we want steeper in the backswing, and we want to be, if anything, slightly across the ball. Let's say we certainly don't want to be releasing the ball on the way through. So one of the little sort of nuggets that's great that will really help your backswing here with the chipping is, when I chip, set up obviously a little nearer to the ball, weight on the front foot, as we've said in previous videos. But I want you to feel, for just a practice swing, and it doesn't matter how far the ball goes, but I want you to feel almost as if the club sits up on its vertical. It's never going to be quite vertical, but there's a sort of natural point. You can see I'm hardly holding that club here. If I come a little closer, you can see, look, I'm hardly holding the club here. And what I've done is I've almost just, can you see I'm hardly holding it there at all? I'm just allowing the club to almost settle, and then it will drop back down again. So almost there's a natural kind of movement it has where it will feel sort of the weight's actually vertical, or the weight's pushing downward. So this is a great little test. I always think, if I'm chipping it here, if I can swing it back and just let a little bit of that nice sort of 90L shape, and there's a nice balance there, and then the club can do its job on the way down. Club can work on the way down. So the way I would word that is that if I'm going to practice now, if I've got the club two outside, which is a rare occurrence, two outside there, my weight will feel really like it's pushing my thumb and my hands this way. The club's almost too much. If I let go of it, the club's falling towards my bag. If I do it where I see most people, and I put it too much that way, if I kind of let go of the club, almost the club head now is falling down behind me. We can see I don't want that on the chipping. So if I can get the club so it feels sort of more vertical, and almost like the weight's wanting to drop back straight down again, what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to have a much more vertical up and down stroke there. And you can see that's going to allow a little bit of cut spin. I'm not really hitting at anything. I'm just going vertical. Almost you can see I'm letting go of the club here. So when I'm chipping here, I've got it nice and vertical here. So I'm feeling up, almost the balance here with the club, where it gets that nice, what I would call settle position, I think is the right term in my head. Just like I've got the weight of the club, but it's sitting almost naturally vertically up my thumbs there. And again, you can see if I get it into this position here, like I can almost let go of the club, and I can almost let go of the club kind of through the ball, and it will still hit a golf shot. I don't advocate doing that, to be fair, but it's having that real softness in those hands to just let the club head basically do the work a little bit. We've talked a bit about it with the hammer. You kind of let the hammer head do the work. And I think we spend too much time with people around this way, or I spend too much time with people around here, and then I make effort to square the club up again. Certain times people like that, but for me, the natural way for the club is to work sort of one-handed. It would work up and down the line here. You can see my hands will work slightly inside that line, but the club head's almost on a sort of nearly straight line here. And you can almost see, again, if I have that movement there, there's a natural kind of almost set where the club will then just fall back down again. You're not going to use it all the time for every shot, but if we need a slight lobby, or we're out of the rough or whatever, this is when we're going to use it more. So again, look, you can see just that club almost just sets, kind of half let go of it, and it's just doing its natural work. So I think the more we can create that nice, soft, we're almost letting go a little bit of the club there to let it settle. If you practice that one as a basic, sort of 101, then we can work for every other shot we want to hit, works off this backswing, in my opinion. So you can just see I can hit really whatever shot I want with that length. And then obviously if we don't want that length, we can go a little bit shorter, and it's the same kind of deal, but it's always working on that same kind of plane line. So just a sort of feeling of letting the club do its own job. It sits there, it'll balance for a second, and then it comes down again. Have a great weekend. Hope that makes sense.